There was a time when Black Panther embodied the future of the biggest franchise in the history of cinema. T'Challa always had a place alongside Marvel's greatest heroes in the comics, and his arrival on the big screen would expand the MCU into the Afrofuturistic technology and world of Wakanda. Sadly, Black Panther has been a victim of real-life tragedy and the self-inflicted collapse of the MCU. Black Panther was originally conceived by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the 60s. Unlike the Operation Olympics and victim culture of today, this was a time when it was truly revolutionary to entrench a prominent African superhero into the lore of Marvel's first family. Black Panther comics stayed around for a long time, building a treasure trove of lore and iconic adversaries for Wakanda's greatest protector. In the 90s, Wesley Snipes piqued interest in T'Challa and pitched a Black Panther movie. While this pitch never really took off, Wesley Snipes would still kick off a successful franchise as Marvel's day-walking vampire killer. It wasn't until 2016 that Black Panther finally arrived in the cinema in Captain America: Civil War. This adaptation of T'Challa was every bit as tactical, fierce, and resourceful as his comic book counterpart. Chadwick Boseman was a perfect casting for T'Challa.
A lot of the things about the character are also true about Chad. He's very knowledgeable. He's an athlete, martial artist. He's had a lot of experience playing roles that come with a lot of weight, So I think he has a guy has a lot of weight to him. I think he brings all of that stuff to the role, but not to mention that he's incredibly gifted as an actor and as a performer, and also as a storyteller in his own right.
He imbued T'Challa with gravitas, royalty, and a physicality deserving of Wakanda's warrior king. The practical vibranium suit complemented his unique acrobatic style, portraying a believable combatant and top-tier athlete that could stand toe-to-toe with the super soldiers of the MCU.
Move, Captain. I won't ask a second time.
Despite the rather crowded cast of Civil War, Black Panther was elevated by a compelling story arc. T'Challa was a loyal family man that tragically lost his father, setting off on an epic journey of vengeance against the Winter Soldier. T'Challa's arc ended with the realization that revenge was toxic and perhaps the only force strong enough to destroy the Avengers.
Vengeance has consumed you. It's consuming them. I'm done letting it consume me. Justice will come soon enough.
This compelling portrayal of the Black Panther received universal acclaim, and the stage was set for the independent Black Panther movie. In February of 2018, the Black Panther would finally get his own movie, 60 years after the first comic book appearance and 25 odd years after the first attempt to bring him to cinema. A solid spot in the biggest cinematic universe and an exceptional marketing campaign propelled Black Panther to the $1 billion club. The Black Panther movie was marketed as a cultural movement for modern Black Americans, often creating the impression that it was the first Black everything in cinema.
You're on the cover of Time magazine. First Black superhero in his own movie. This is history.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
To give credit where it's due, Black Panther was the first mainstream portrayal of Afrofuturism, a fascinating concept for a continent that has rarely been conceived in science fiction. Despite the hype, the Black Panther movie missed the mark in many regards, including nonsensical concepts like elite warriors armed with spears, battle rhinos, and grass-thatched skyscrapers. It devolved into a pathetic attempt to incorporate African stereotypes into futuristic technology with little understanding of how science, engineering, and warfare work. Sure, this was in the comics, but good writing means adapting things in a way that makes sense. For example, the Wakandans could have had shields against projectiles, making it absolutely necessary to fight with hand-to-hand combat. That way, it would make sense to have spears, right? While the cultural commentary in the movie was loved by some, it was inherently divisive for a character that had been broadly appealing in his previous outing. Fortunately, T'Challa himself was perceptive and stayed out of the racially charged vitriol of the other characters. The same couldn't be said for Shuri, M'Baku, and Killmonger. At least Killmonger had an excuse. He was the villain. The movie was also bogged down by plot holes and conveniences and horrible CGI. Black Panther's on-screen woes would be overshadowed by the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman. Apparently, Boseman battled colon cancer through most of his filming, a battle that he lost on the 28th of August 2020, the day that the world lost a rising star and a true inspiration in cinema. Instead of recasting T'Challa, something Chadwick Boseman would have approved of, Disney sought to replace him with Shuri as the new Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther was fierce, charismatic, and imposing. Everything that his gaunt replacement wasn't.
Princess.
No! I am the Black Panther, and I'm here for retribution!
Incidentally, Shuri fit better into Marvel's new direction towards a younger, more feminine slate of heroes. Sure, this has been done in the comics, and it failed there exactly as it is failing in the MCU. Chadwick Boseman's passing would still be a big part of the marketing for the sequel. The movie was marketed as a memorial to him, and his death was a main plotline in the story. Black Panther 2 would feature a lesser version of the Black Panther pitted against a bastardized version of Namor. To no one's surprise, just like its marketing and weak cast and characters, the sequel's box office paled in comparison to the first Black Panther. Black Panther 2 fit right into the diminishing returns of the MCU and epitomized the abject failure of Marvel's new direction. The future of the Black Panther franchise is all up in the air, as Disney and Marvel fail to learn from their failure, double down on their new direction, and leave T'Challa on ice. The promise that Wakanda's titular king once represented in a growing cinematic universe is all but a dream of the past. If the Black Panther movie was the inception of the cancer plaguing the Black Panther character, the day that Chadwick Boseman passed away is the day that it truly died. Thanks for watching. You stay tuned and stay cool.
In my culture, death is not the end. It's more of a stepping off point. You reach out with both hands and Bast and Sekhmet. They lead you into the green veldt where you can run forever.